What is up YouTube, and welcome to this The Stand episode 5 review and breakdown. This was a very interesting episode in that we finally seemingly had no flashbacks as we finally saw the mythical land of Randall Flagg's New Vegas and switch between the two, making for a much better viewing experience and possibly one of the strongest episodes in my opinion to date. That might be down to the fact that this was almost completely linear. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please do consider dropping a like down below and subscribing with notifications on so you never miss a video. I will also be covering Batwoman, American Gods, and WandaVision moving forward, so jump aboard and join with us here. Now we pick up after our squad of spies, Judge Farris, Tom and Dana, headed to New Vegas to continue upon their mission. Dana is working on the power supply for New Vegas inside the Hoover Dam, but she's been caught asking far too many questions about Randall Flagg himself, which makes sense as she is a spy, but even Harriet the spy is better than her. Now we see Julie Laurie again, our Southern Belle, who is just the worst person of all time, which is a pretty big feat in the City of Sin. Despite her questions, she seems to be fast-tracked as everyone's favourite armed robber Lloyd is back and has Julie as his harem and lifts Dana out of her situation here. We see Vegas, which is debauched and looks a lot more fun than the boring, Boulder free zone. One criticism about this episode was that we saw not that much of Lloyd, which was a complete and utter shame, as that actor had some great characterization and real magnetism to his character, but he was barely used in favour of Julie, which I thought was a real shame there. Now we see Tom arrive in Vegas as they staggered their whole arrivals there, and I love how even at the end of the world, in a debauched Las Vegas led by a mystical warlock-like man, there's a job centre and the staff are just as awful as they are in real life. You can clap cheeks on the roulette table, but wait, all labour must be organised. We learn that everyone who comes to Vegas willingly is a citizen and no questions are asked, and the others are slaves. We see him, or at least Flagg, gain power from the applause of the citizens, so it looks like he needs willing participants to get his power, and they get slaves from the outside world. Now Tom is assigned to a cleanup crew as we saw him later mop up after the UFC gone wild. We then cut to Harold and Nadine, and I still find it prophetic how Amber Heard is playing a controlling woman, manipulating a man right after the whole Johnny Depp thing. They are clearing up in the aftermath of Harold's friend being killed, and he said you did not need to kill him as he is still very, very soft and green, but she says she cannot let down Flagg, they can't let him down. And it seems like those two are fracturing, but later we saw that for all his rage, man, he just wants a cheeky blower. He wants to leave, but they must maintain their mission, and they make the whole thing look like a suicide. Now, his friend is found by Stu and Larry. Now, Harold comes up and feigns interest and says, oh, I'll start the cinema he wanted to do. But Larry, he looks like he knows he's sus there. He knows. We learn later that he has been suspicious of him since he first met him, and it seems like everyone else is suspicious of our boy Harold there, despite thinking he was the Messiah with his signs guiding people to Boulder. Now, Abigail said something which I also felt, and I'm sure many of you also thought as well, as to why did Nick and Co. send spies when Randall Flagg can see everything? It just seemed so dumb. I know it's in the book, but it just seemed weird there, and I thought it was better in the book how Tom was hypnotised compared to what they did here. They went against her wishes and are almost starting a war against Flagg, and it's clear her powers are waning, just like Flagg said when he spoke to Nadine later in the episode. Now, Mother is clearly angry with Nick, saying he was supposed to be a voice and a right-hand man, and that's how God said, what the Lord said, and he's the antithesis to Flagg and Lloyd. Angry by this, it puts her on a path to go on a spiritual walk later in the episode, flipping around the order of events of spies being sent and Abigail going missing. Now, after this, we do see Dana with Laurie and our man Lloyd, as she's been recruited as one of his harems, and they start to, or almost have a threesome there, but it becomes clear that Julie is just really not into Lloyd, signalling her disgust and forcing him to get a floppy at the mere mention of Randall Flagg, which, yes, that does cause him to go half-mast every time Flagg is mentioned there. Yes, I'm very sorry for that. But they decide to go shopping instead, which I couldn't tell what they mean, but they do watch the UFC to the death main event, just as we see Tom Cullen clean up and Julie recognises him, and obviously so does Dana, because he's a spy with her, which is a problem. Now we get to see the man himself, Randall Flagg, address his adoring citizens as they applaud, and he rises, and it becomes clear that he just knows Dana's deal there, which is ominous as he smiles at her despite having a speech saying how violence and sex is okay. And we were having a discussion watching the episode, thinking that why is all the naughty kinks and things like that always in the debauched, horrible place? Well, it's just a bit odd there. It's interesting. It's a conversation for another video, and someone who is, to be honest, far more intelligent than myself. She asks when she gets to meet the man and is scoffed at, and I really like these scenes in the New Vegas, and it was cool seeing a world away from the lawful good Boulder-free zone. We know Danya is lying about the whole Flagg dreams, and clearly those who have his dreams and are bad people have headed there to New Vegas, complete with absolutely unfettered debauchery. Nadine is back as she's having dreams of getting with Larry, but she's summoned by Randall, and he probably could tell that she was having those sex dreams there. And she's angry that she's been given to Harold, but Flagg says that he gave her purpose, which sort of makes sense in his own twisted way. However, her and Harold duke it out as he gets physical, but yeah, she sorts him out there, and we see Franny invite Harold to dinner. And I found it funny that he was like, oh, I remember when she mentioned that she's with Stu. Yes, Franny, he remembers. But Franny has an ulterior motive about this dinner, as she is feeling worried about our boy Harold and his incel ways, and goes to Larry for help, who is having the same feeling, and they decide that Larry goes around to search his house, which he didn't want to do. But it seems Abigail is also having a feeling the same as they do, but about his partner in crime, as she led Joe to her piano, and it scares Nadine, but Abigail says that she now has a choice to make, which she does later on when she goes to Larry to try and get him to sleep with her, but he's like, yeah, no, you're being weird. Dinner goes ahead as it's incredibly awkward as Harold gets angry and angrier about his sister and makes up a story about him and Franny, only to reveal that it was a lie and the story he told was something he wasn't invited to, making him even angrier. All the while, Larry is, like I said, accosted by Nadine, desperate for him to sleep with her, but yeah, he's like, no. Should have took it, Larry, my guy. Bang the girl, save the world. However, he looks around Harold's house in the end, only for Harold to arrive home early and noticing that the meddling had been done. Larry did, however, find the shirt that Nadine used and she was wearing earlier, signaling that, yes, he knows that they now have a bigger connection than he originally thought. And it seems like Nadine is trying to stay away from him and stay away from their connection and have it in secret. Meanwhile, Abigail departs on her spirit journey after praying and seeing a wolf, implying that Flagg is ready for war, which will come very, very soon. However, back in New Vegas, Danya is trying to signal to Tom, which goes really badly, and leaves him a note which he can't read. Why would they have not told her that? But anyway, we know now that it's a problem as Danya is outed and Flagg interrogates her to find out who the third spy is. He knows that Judge Farris is stuck in the desert on her way. I couldn't really work out if she's either on her way or he has held her up in some way or form, but he doesn't know Tom is a spy. and Dana gets some satisfaction out of that and stabs him. Of course, he does the Thanos thing, pretending to be dead, which he survives, and he says that he learned this acting from Konstantin Stanislavski, who is a legendary Russian actor, and grills her further, but she kills herself before giving him up. Now, I really like that, and I really want to see more of Lloyd and Flag and Vegas. I think that's a really interesting story to tell there. But we then learn that Harold is now spying on Franny and Stu as he takes control of the situation. And it's going to be scary as he's spying on them and he's seemingly losing the last shred of humanity he had, as he was sad about his mate being killed, but he seemingly accepted it. Now, overall, this was a great episode. This was the strongest episode by far, in my opinion. There were no flashbacks. It was all killer, no filler, quite literally there. So let me know what you think in the comments down below of this episode. Did you enjoy it? What do you want to see next? Did you not like it? I want to hear all of your opinions. I love seeing the comments. I love replying to them. They really do make my day there. And do like the video and subscribe with notifications on if you want more from us. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.